minutes, just ask Eddie to take a picture, a video of you. The videos go quite viral. How many videos do they get normally of Irish? The YouTube videos?
Well, we could put up from Nissim, it's already gone up to 60,000,
So
but
he's putting videos out on the internet.
from other people it's gone up to around 50, 40. I usually get around 20 myself, thank
maybe
God.
we'll get a video of us tonight. Maybe we'll.
It's up to you guys. I'm not sitting with the camera tonight. I want to just like do my thing.
Yeah,
so.
I think.
If you have camera,
so
whatever.
I want to just say, first of all, Eddie's job is he works with Missing Black, number one. So it's everyone Missing Black, so we got someone to talk to. And number two, if you guys, you don't know the rabbi of Irish, but he's one of the biggest rabbis in Israel. And Eddie's organizing all his stuff, and he's doing huge work. Maybe you'll look at some of the videos he's putting out of Irish, incredible stuff. Just tonight they do a video, guys asking questions worldwide. They're asking questions and he's giving these videos. With thousands and thousands of people watching from all over the world. Eddie himself is a bit of a musician. He's involved with Kiruv and teaching and stuff. And so I thought it would be nice tonight just to get together with Eddie, play a bit of songs, sing a bit of songs. We like our songs. And I also want the guys to maybe share some Torah. You guys have been privileged to be in Yeshiva time now, the last few days. Some ideas from Rav Dov Bear. Maybe you can inspire me, you can inspire Eddie, inspire each other. And it's an idea. Get to know Eddie a bit as well.
Cool. We're Dov Bear Cohen in Aish, that's where you be.
Yeah.
Good guy. He lives around there, not far.
Yeah,
so,
we've seen him a couple of times on the way to Milan.
So just the other day I was in the Shabbos, before this whole Corona thing hit, I was just in a little hostel up the road with family. They made like a Shabbaton up the road, if you know what that is. And so I needed to figure out where to pray. So I've got a good friend down the road. He's in just off here by Agrippas, by Rocheveliel Solomon. I think he has a shul there, number 8, I think. Is Alex Clare. I don't know if you heard of him. He's a musician. So he has a shul there, which pretty much he's the cousin. It's his place, and he invited me to come there the whole Shabbos, and it was really, really nice. So if you guys live here, like Shabbos or even during the week, he's got stuff going on, and he's a holy dude plus a famous dude as well. I never actually, funny enough, worked with him for whatever reason. We want to get him into our studio, but he's just one of the many people around. If you're in Jerusalem, you've got a lot of solid people, you can like connect with, especially now that, with Corona, like it's a different world, like I was touring much more, traveling and setting up my artists to tour and travel, and everything's now, it's more like online or local. So this is for me like a cool time, like to get together with you guys, and you're welcome to ask questions, as we go along, but I'll just tell you very like in short my personal story, and I hope it will be like helpful for like some of the choices and things you're doing, and give you a bit of clarity on, because like personally I'm already like 40 now, I can't believe it, and that's probably 20 years more than you do. So being in this world those 21st years in London was really cool, and I thank Hashem that I grew up in a cool family. I had a good lifestyle. I was telling our friend here, what's your name again? Jordan. I was telling him, Jordan, that I went to a school where I was the only Jew, only Yid, and that was in a way a very. It was a like co-ed state school, like very low class. In England, class does make a difference still. I don't know if it does till this day, but when I was growing up, it was more still something people talked about, and it gave me an opportunity to meet all kinds of people from all kinds of places in the world. Even though I was a little boy, and until I was around 11, 12, I was still friendly with these guys. And what happened to me was a life-changing moment when I went to hang out with my boys in a more rough estate park. I don't know if you know what estate is, but be like, you have those? Huh? Yeah. It's like real tough, like place, but I wasn't scared because I was with my boys, So what happened was a whole group of boys checked us out, and they were checking me out because I came from a Jewish home. Obviously, I had a bit more wealth on show, So they were figuring out, as bit by bit, as half our boys left, so there was more of them than us. So they came with bricks, and they pinned down all the boys around me, like with bricks, because there was more of them than us. And this little guy, a little bit more like a gypsy dude, came up to me and said, like, let's go. And he just started knocking me out. and beat out my teeth and like really beat me up. And I couldn't really do much because there was still some other ones standing there with bricks. So probably if I hit him, I'd be. So basically, I just did a runner. Yeah, sorry to be like a bit of a coward, but that's what I did. And I ran back to the house where I was staying. There was a whole bunch of nutters staying there. They came running after these guys. Eventually, we got them all beaten up, all of them. Yeah, because we knew who they were. But that was like my thought, like why me? You know, there was some other characters there. None of them were Jewish. Why again and again? This happened many times in London. Like why was I Jewish that made me be more exposed to like I don't know anti-Semitism you could call it, or this sense that they just knew there was something different about me, either the way I dressed or certain way of character or whatever it was. And it made me think, that was my question growing up. And bit by bit, I got more and more friends with Jewish kids, even though, like I said, I went to a non-Jewish school where I was one of the only Jews there. So why were my best friends Jewish? Why were my crew Jewish? And by the time I was 16, I came to Israel. Like people go, and I don't know if they do it now with Corona, but I mean, I got my cousin in London. I don't know if she went. It's actually not my cousin, my niece. I don't know if she went, but they used to come called tour, and you come on tour groups when you're 16. And even though I was like more of a player on tour than and I mean playing music and a player with girls, but I was more in that kind of thing. Like everyone had a little symbol what they represented. I was like a world with like a tongue and a guitar, It's because I went around the world literally, and if you know what I mean. So that was my symbol on the T-shirt. I probably still have it somewhere, and it was cool, like to go from that. But I had a certain experience where I suddenly just switched off from that a little bit in the middle of the trip, and some things went on which weren't so fun, where guys are getting jealous and, people were angry, and it made me feel like, wait a minute, like I don't feel good about this. Like even though I'm becoming the best at this, and I even started running nightclubs when I came back to England, and the nightclub. I don't tell people this every day, and it's like one of my secrets, but in Israel, but it was called Pimps and Whores. So it was in the middle of London, and I'd fill it up, and it was a success, and I was making money, and I was getting whatever I wanted, alcohol, drinks. I was VIP, it was my event, and I had DJs and the whole thing, and like when I was in that mode, I felt more empty than ever. Like I just felt more and more something was off. And that was the whole switcheroo where I was like, there must be more to life. And thank God I met some cool people in college, one of them being my brother-in-law to be, I didn't know then. And we just started chilling, and my best friends, and started making music more and more, doing poetry, exploring ourselves. Even though I met my wife in that time in the gym, I was just telling, who was the dude who came up with us? You, yeah. What's your name again? Joey. I told Joey on the way up, I met my wife in the gym. So she was from Cape Town, so that was my South African connection. She came to England like a lot of people did in those days. I don't know if they're still doing that, but like a lot of people came to England when they were worried about what was going to be and the safety and stuff. So thankfully I met my wife during that time, and we weren't obviously going out or anything. In fact, it was completely platonic, but there was a deep connection, like a soul connection. Even in those days, I felt that feeling, and life started to go on a different wavelength. So that question continued, like, why am I Jewish? What does this mean? The Holocaust, what happened there? That was the end of my history, like in college. We end off like all the history from all the way back to, we never started off with the Jews, that's not how they start off history. Start off with the Greeks or something like that. And then you end off with the Holocaust. Like that was my journey. I was very into history. So like Greeks all the way to the Holocaust, this doesn't make sense, this world, and why this Holocaust, and who are these people that, we end off our historical studies with these tormented people that I'm from, and I know nothing about, like I don't know what the Talmud is, I know nothing, I don't know Aleph Beis, nothing. So I'm trying to figure it out with real life, and come to Israel around 17, 18 again, university years, just about to go to university, have a few powerful experiences just before I go to university and during university. And each time I came here, like everything just flowed on a different level. I was very into this flow. I still talk about it. I have actually 2 podcasts about it nowadays. One called Unity Flow Podcast. It's about divine providence, talking about there's a flow in life, and relationship flow podcast. These are my 2 like personal podcasts, and that's about relationship advice, with how to like go into relationships in a positive way, and it's all about this flow. So I already felt that then as a teenager, like there wasn't just whatever. You know, people say whatever, like everything just happens. No, it doesn't just happen. And coronavirus isn't just whatever, and us sitting here together isn't just whatever. This was meant to be. Like Yoni decided this, and we talked about it once or twice. We saw each other simchas, but it isn't whatever. The fact that Yoni's in our family, and the fact you guys are sitting here, everything's not whatever. Yeah, like it's all divine providence. So like that, if you know what that means, like it's, you know, God's providence, you know, like it's very specific and meant to be, and it gives you a different clarity. Like then you start to understand, hey look, I got a father like this, I got a mother like this, I got a grandma, grandpa, friends, boys, I got girls, I got this, I got that, whatever you got in your life. I got a rabbi like this, I'm sitting in Israel. Everything now, you start to look at it in a deeper way. You start to think, whoa, you know, there's something going on. Like, why am I Jewish? Why are my best friends Jewish? Why, hey, a minute, why is this person in my life? What's this person about? And you start to think a bit more. I know people don't think so much because, you know, we've got TikTok and, you know, everything else making us like this. But, like, imagine, like, where we can just stop for a minute and just have a little bit of focus, and we start to say, hey, like, there's something deep and profound going on. So, like, the fact, even like, you only mentioned I became a manager for Nissan Black and Rav Orish, that's also divine providence. You know, like I was just doing a corporate job, I was going crazy. Like I believe a big soul. Like I have a big soul. People told me I believe in myself. You know, it's important to work on it. And I know I have this purpose, and I'm sitting in this little box. You know, like I rented out this little office space, and I'm working for this corporate company that everything you do, they're listening and they're questioning and they're marking you, and it affects your bonus. And it's like, this can't be my life. You know, I'm gonna this corporate job. Like, this can't be what I'm gonna do for, like, to support my family and use all my talents I grew up with and my whole journey. You know, being a musician, running clubs, being involved, networking, building events in Israel. And then I'm going to end up just being this corporate guy. And I was like, I got to get out of here. And I was like screaming, literally. And Nessim phoned me a few times, like, bro, I did that thing once. You gotta go for something more. But I was like, you know, whatever. You know, we were friends. How did I meet Nessim? I met him online. 2011, I was working with, you know, I've worked at a lot of programs. And on these streets, they call me the Midnight Rabbi, because I was up all night. Why did I stay up all night? Because, you know, like all men, yeah, we're boys, yeah, I hope, yeah, you know, nowadays you never know, yeah, but like, so like, I was being a boy, yeah, Baruch Hashem, and being a man, and even married, and you still have these like feelings and things going on, and you're like, it's late at night, and you're just like, I didn't have a phone, thank God, to poison myself with in that way, but I did have the battle. Everyone has the battle, so I was like, I'm just gonna go for walks. That's the best thing. I'll go for walks. And what I see in the middle of the night, night after night, a mad amount of guys on the street. No one's going to bed. Everyone's oversleeping, and all the schools like when's it happening at night? So at midnight is when I started hanging out in the streets, and that's what I did. And I got a job by a bunch of programs, Netzach, Neyakov, Nivei Zion. There were big programs back in the day of, like, you know, teenagers and stuff, and it was a very powerful experience. I did a bunch of events with them. But like, so Nissim, when I was sitting there working for these programs, I ended up in Beit Shemesh working for another program for Ethiopian kids and doing bar mitzvahs and helping them, and the whole story. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I see Nissim online. How did I get to Nissim? A guy called Shine. I don't know if you heard of Shine. He was boys with Puff Daddy. Anyone knows Puff Daddy? Yeah? You want to know who Puff Daddy is? I mean, like, I'm not talking to a bunch of frummers here, yeah? No?
The previous generation.
Puff Daddy's previous generation? I mean, he's like, he was on this program now called The Four, yeah?
Yeah, no, I've seen it.
Yeah. Like, Puff Daddy was like the manager of, you know, of, who can we say is famous now? I mean, he was involved with the whole Tupac story, but like, you know, and, you know, Big, what's his name? Biggie Smalls and all that stuff, yeah. He was Biggie Smalls' manager, yeah? He discovered Biggie Smalls. You just look, you know, I mean, he was with, going out with Jennifer Lopez for years. Yeah, so he's a big dude, yeah? He's one of the famous dudes. I don't know if he's a good dude, but anyway, so his boy Shine was working. He ended up in prison, a whole shootout that went on with Puff Daddy and Shine, and he ends up, I don't know how this happened, but Hashem brought him to Israel. He ends up sitting in yeshiva, and someone sends me a video, one of my boys, and he's sitting in yeshiva with a black cat, and I'm like, nah, Shine, this guy, I know Shine from back in the day, a big rapper from Puff Daddy. So I went, and I'm the type of guy, like, I see someone interesting, like all these kind of guys that come through Israel, I end up like being in contact, like, let's talk. Anyway, so once I was hanging out with him, then his boys, who, funny enough, I just put them on a collaboration album just now, His boys told me there's a new rapper in Seattle. You got to go. You got to talk to him. He's started to become a bit, Jewish, and he's put out a new song that's on MTV. And I checked it out. It was a fat song. It's still around online, called Yesterday. And I got in contact with him online, and we just started chatting a lot. And like I said, when he phoned me about 5 years later, I was his first gig he did in Israel. And 5 years later, he was like, he knew he could see more from me. Like, I put him on here in Israel, and he was like, why are you doing this corporate thing? And I was like, you're right. But I didn't know what to do about it. So suddenly a job came up, a manager job in Jerusalem, running like a company. So I was like, I'm going to take it, even though I wasn't as stable seemingly as a corporate. By the way, that whole corporate thing fell apart. Like, as powerful as it was, owned by one of the biggest, 200, whatever you call them, companies in the world. Like, Marlboro is the original, name of the company, but they got rebranded called. I remember their new name, whatever it was. Yeah, so they own this company I was working for, and it was called Green Smoke, and it was a e-cig company, and also Mark 10. So I was like working for an established company with like a whole chain of promotion. Yeah, like you can go up into the corporate world. And then I'll go work at this funny like juice store in Jerusalem, with all its fun up and downs. And while I'm there, guess who's there every day? Nissim, because he's always picking up stuff. He's doing stuff in the studio. So this is the divine providence, the flow. There he is, coming in and out of the shop every day. And he's like, Ellie, man, we're talking, because we're already friends from years before. And he called me a little bit of rabbi, whatever. And he was like, you got to be my manager. And I'm like, I'm working. He said, do both. So I did. And that year was crazy. I was trying to do this manager job, and I was flying every month to like LA, to Miami, to London, to Manchester, to everywhere. Yeah, and it was an amazing year. And New York, we did a massive show in Brooklyn, and it was a smash year. We did Times Square. He was Jewish completely by that point. Yeah, this was 2016, 17. I went on, managed him full 2018, and in 2019, after Pesach, after this crazy Pesach, that's now been a year and a half or so, I was just like, bro, I can't do this. My wife and everything. I moved back to Jerusalem. I'm like, I gotta like focus on, just getting a more normal day job. Anyway, so Rav Oresh's people had seen me doing this for Nissim, so they're like, you got to come work for us. So I already switched with Nissim by that point to be his booking agent, so then I could do it. So I'm still doing Nissim book. So anyone wants to book Nissim can get hold of me, or any other artists. I've got a long list and a whole bunch of artists now by now, thank God. And that was my family's business,
Awesome.
No, my family, someone was trying to get hold of Cat Stevens, and this guy's a big shot himself. So I just asked my dad. He had his email. Like, Yosef, I just gave it to someone the other day for his son. Yosef, they call him, whatever they call him now. Huh? You don't even know who Cat Stevens is, probably.
The dad's in the music industry.
Huh? Huh?
The dad's in the music industry or music.
Yeah, so my uncle and father did the biggest events ever in history. They did Live Aid. They put on. They were the promoters. Bob Geldof gets the credit because he's a famous crazy dude, but my father and uncle were the ones who actually ran it practically. Like, they're the ones who made it happen. And you can watch the real life footage. It's online now. And they talk about Harvey and Martin. My father not so much. He's more behind the scenes doing the merchandise and licensing. But my uncle was the famous dude. And that's my brothers are still in that industry. They're right now doing 007 for the new movie, and they did the Olympics, and they've done a lot of big stuff. Jubilee. So I grew up in like a big, music business, entertainment business. So now that's why it was even more painful. I'm sitting doing this crap corporate job. I could be back in London and, with all the famous stuff, and I was just. But at the same time, that's the whole thing. That's why I want to help you a little bit. When you're making choices to live in Eretz Yisrael, it can be sometimes a struggle. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. But like at the same time, like I've been here and I've seen, like if you really want it, and I prayed a lot and I really wanted it a lot, and thank God I have a holy wife and holy children, and I'm surrounded by a lot of good people. I have a good network of people that we all look after each other, and holy rabbis as well. I'm connected to a lot of holy rabbis. And that network, it gives you ability to, like, even if sometimes it feels like, how can I do this? Why am I giving up like a successful life in London? How can I give up my successful life in Australia or South Africa? I got mad hookups. So one, I don't think those hookups disappear. I'm not someone who believes. I'm not one of these like rabbis, like dudes who like, come to yeshiva and forget like that world exists. I don't believe in that. I believe it's all organic, and you got to use everything that you grew up with, all your network to develop now. And I see, thank God, that my network has helped me develop from London here to the world, and it's been an amazing opportunity. And in terms of finding a soulmate, I was lucky because, like I said, I met her in the gym. So when I came to Israel, I already knew that she existed, and I knew that she was the one. And my first date was with my wife, so I didn't have to go through that whole dating thing and 10 different shidduchim. Yeah, I was religious by the time we went out, thank God. But I just knew I was 21. So
How old were you when you
21 when I was dating. Oh, I became religious at 18, 19. Just before the year 2000 when everything went really nuts. I was already like religious and Ohrsome. I mean, I don't like using the word religious because I never became like, I don't even know, spiritual, just awake, just in touch with, I would try work on it daily, like in touch with godliness and try connecting with souls. Like putting out an album now called United Souls #1. It's all about souls. It's all about this concept of souls, that we're unified and united. There's a soul connection between us. And in this day and age where there's so much, I was calling out Oprah online. I never did this before. I'm not the type Oprah and I was calling out Oprah. I was like, Oprah, how could you let me down? Like, you're one of the people out there who always said like spiritual stuff, and Nissan Black just messaged me this second, funny enough. So
Can you drop us his number?
it's a money thing.
Not for spam or anything,
Send you a picture. You have to. It's you guys. You have to get me the pictures. I'm gonna let you guys take care of the pictures. I just turned off my phone, so it won't happen again. I'm sorry. So the idea of tuning in to like this divine providence, so that we have a united soul, that things aren't whatever. That is really, really important to me. And like, that's why when Yoni invited me, I'm like, for sure going to come, because for me, this isn't a job. I'm not coming. No one's paying me to come here. I'm coming here to connect with you boys. Yeah. One, I live down the road, so if you want a Shabbos, thank God we have a fat Shabbos meal. We're not able to host tens of guys. My wife will kill me if I do that, because we're just, as they call it, we're Balet Tshuva. Like, we're not sitting here with mad support, family and stuff. Like, that's part of my journey here, which is challenging. And like, I've only just met Yoni, even though he's my family, and I'm like slowly starting to connect. But family can sometimes be a challenge here in Israel, because you're leaving like a little bit, the whole solid network back home, especially now with Corona. Like, I would have visited my family, they would visit me, and now like Hashem's changed the story. Like, we can't just go when we want. So now, like, you really feel, wow, I really miss my family, even more, like the fact that it's being prevented. And I hope, we're making a bar mitzvah, like, I hope either my family will come here, or I'll bring my son there. But the idea is that, like, it's a different world we're in right now, and we've got to like tune in that Hashem's making a lot of changes in the world, and not exclude Hashem. Because like, I was listening to an important class today, and because I also everyone needs to keep listening to classes. And the rabbi was saying that people, like, he's not even a rabbi actually, he's a cool businessman, a friend of mine. I don't know if you heard of him, Gedalia Fenster. Gedalia Fenster? He's a cool dude, like, he's clean shaven business dude in Miami. Like, I've stayed by him a bunch of times, and beautiful home, like on the bay there. Like, I love it. I have this massage chair and I just sleep in it. I have it on sleep mode the whole time. I'm just lying there like, yes, Miami. But like, like, right by these boats are like cruising past. Like, it's something else over there. But like, as much as he's that, living in that lifestyle, and owns a rehab and a detox and a bunch of businesses, and as much as he's a hookup in that respect, he's also like intensely spiritually focused, and he's also a student of Rav Orish, and someone who like is able to tune into Amunah. And he said himself, like, this whole Corona thing, everyone's forgetting Hashem. Everyone's just going on and on. And if your family are going on and on about it can almost be annoying. Yeah, like, how's it? What's the numbers? What's going on? All the time the same conversation. Just like in England, all they talk about is the weather. So, but anyway, so we're going to play some music. I know we want to get stuff. So since we are in this time period, just remember, that it's the Corona thing's also Hashem, and it's not taken away from our ability to enjoy life. Hashem will give us fun and positive moments like this, and l'chaim. Should all be blessed.
Can we get the guitar out though?
We will.
Right next to you, bro.
Sitting next to it.
Kol Beis Yisroel. Acheinu, Ko Beis Yisrael. This is our friend Joey, yeah? I remember his name, I'm impressing myself. So Joey said, by the way, it doesn't like anyone's doing any pictures, so I'm going to give you guys my camera. It's a good camera, don't break it. And there's flash option. It's on, it's good. You can take a picture if you want, a video. He knows how to use this. It was a present of a friend, this phone. And, so someone here wants to do a picture, we can share it with Yoni, with Nissim, with whoever you want. With Ohrsome. So our good man here, Joey, asked the question. Ohrsome was our first program, and that I went to in London called the JLE. Yeah. Now I was getting spiritual in Spa, and I went to Asia a little bit. I went to Ohrsome in Yerushalayim, but the first place I ever really learned at was JLE. And what drew me to Ohrsome was a very special rabbi when I came to Israel called Rabbi Bullman. He was just like really spiritual and was able to talk to your soul, and that's what I was looking for, someone who could talk to me. And I ended up very close to a rabbi there called Rabbi Samet, who's still around. Have you heard of Samet? Really special rabbi, not so well known but should be, special holy person. And he I still speak to him till this day, thank God. He was under my chuppah, and so Ohrsome was really good. I was not such a yeshivish guy, as you can see. Like I went a bit more Hasidish, into more like Hasidish stuff, and that gave me the opportunity, though, having that foundation in Ohrsome and learning in Gemara and getting that foundation of yeshiva and having respect for Torah and for Rabbonim, which when I joined that together with Hasidus, for me that was like the ideal. Like I'm very much into Rav Sodek Sfarim and Breslov Sfarim and Chabad Sfarim, and like very deep. There's a famous Rebbe called Leibel Eger, who was originally from also Litvish home, and he went from Rabbi Akiva Eger's mishpocha of Litvaks, the Yeshivish family, not Litvaks, but they were Yeshivish family, from learning into Chassidus, and that really that sefer really speaks to me as something I learned on Shabbos, and it's really a lot to do with Ahavah, like loving Hashem. And that was my big question when I was in yeshiva, and they were like, learn Gemara. I was like, where's the love, guys? To the rabbis, because like you got to give me some more love, because like I'm more of a hippie neshama, and like I need to feel the love, and so when I made this album United Souls, one of the songs is Just Love Them. It's a guy called Joey Newcomb. You heard of Joey Newcomb? He put out a song. Joey Newcomb has a bunch of famous songs like Thank You Hashem and na 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 na, Thank You Hashem, da 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 da. So we got one of his songs, and it's all just about love. So that's the kind of vibe like that I was looking for a soulmate. I was looking to connect to God. I was looking for the Messiah, Mashiach. I wasn't looking just to become a London and know how to learn Gemara and get intellectual stimulation. But it's important. What I was always told by all my teachers, that in order to understand spiritual parts of Judaism, you're going to have to know halacha and Gemara, and that's why I've always made an effort till now to always learn those parts of Torah which are more like seemingly revealed and more obvious, even though they're also very deep and spiritual, but on a simple level they're more obvious. So that Ohrsome was very good for me in that way. And I appreciate it. There was some songs. So this is a song I wrote in Ohrsome, and I was learning at that time on the side with a Breslov rabbi down actually 2 minutes from where I live now, funny enough. Things come full circle. And he was also about tshuva, hippie dude, and he was the one who told me, he said, make sure no matter what, he said, I'm not going to learn with you any of this Breslov spiritual stuff unless you've learned the Gemara and Halacha and you're keeping up with that. That was his rule. So I tried to do that, but one of the things that impressed me after we finished prayer service with them, they used to dance around, I don't know what's going on with Corona right now, but we used to dance around after Mincha and all that. So that dancing around was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, you finish praying to God and then you dance together like every single day. And I was really impressed by that. So I wrote a song about how important joy is, and at the same time I was feeling really sad. I don't know if you guys get that sometimes, but I was a bit alone because of my family weren't here and friends I grew up with. They did come visit, but it was like, and then at the same time I was like transitioning into a whole different lifestyle, and so I wrote this song like with that sort of broken heart, at the same time yearning for joy. And I played this song at my wedding, and you can Google it. If you Google Midnight Rabbi wedding, you'll see this song will be performed by a 21-year-old version of me on the Midnight Rabbi's wedding. Simcha. song's called Simple. We are a people of a kind, will to find our truest side. This place of holy paradise, this is our home. Yerushalayim will sing to all our children crying. Every time we sing, every time we dance, every time we sing, every time we clap our hands, every time we sing, every time we dance, all this echoes pouring through our hands, every time we sing, every time we dance. With farmer circles, time goes by, people yearning to defy the way of this world. Our hearts compel to sincerely sing and dance and yet feel there and there is sad. Every time we sing, every time we dance, every time we sing, every time we sing and dance. Sing along. Every time we sing, every time we dance, all this echoes pouring through our hands. Every time we sing, every time we dance. La 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 la. Hey la, hey la, hey la, hey na 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 na. Every breath we take, everyone we love, all expression of the one above. Every breath we take, everyone we love, all expression of the one above. La 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 la. Ay 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 la 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 la. Oh yeah, ay 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 every breath we take, everyone we love, all an expression of the one above.
Power.
Do you know Waterbury? Do you know Waterbury?
Oh yeah, what the Waterbury boys. I love those
No
guys.
way. Can we play after that song? Do you know it on the top? Touchy My King?
But at Waterbury, we went there. I went there with Nissan once, and this was like the craziest week of my life. We've been over that week. By the time we got to Waterbury, we've been over the Pacific twice. Pacific or the Atlantic twice, and we went back another time over the Atlantic before the end of the week to make it for a bris in Jerusalem for Purim. So that's 3 times over the Atlantic in 1 week, and that was on the second part. And Nissim just found out his wife had a baby. She was like in labor and having a baby, and we had to give this whole big thing to all these Waterbury boys. There were a few hundred of them. It wasn't a small place. And Nissim spoke his story, and then we went into the place and did a gig. Now, I was the DJ, yeah? This is the funny thing. They made me the DJ. So I was DJing. Not only was a manager, but I was also DJing. And I was DJing this gig, and the stage was made in such a crappy way that everything was moving around. So the computer was like flying around. I was trying to hold it, and this was dancing. All these boys came on stage, Waterbury boys, started doing their thing, dancing on the stage. And I was like trying to DJ this event. So accidentally I pressed like Yoni Z had used our computer one time. You heard of Yoni Z? He's like a singer like in the Jewish world. He used our computer, so he'd set up a song, a Shweki song. to do at an event that we did, yeah. And it came up. I don't know why it was set, but it came up, and it kept pressed on by all the moving around by accident, and suddenly a Shweki song comes on in the middle of a Nissim concert, yeah. And now guess what the song was? Nissim. The whole song about I believe in Nissim, yeah. So everyone thought it was meant to be. Because it was Nissim, I believe in Nissim, yeah? So everyone in the whole place was singing, I believe in Nissim. And they all thought it was like, and Nissim turned around at me, gave me one of these looks, like, you know, he's going to like beat me up afterwards. And like, he only gave it to me, like, you know, because we were that close. He's not that kind of guy generally, but like, that was like, what have you done, Ali? And then I said, I look, I go like this, look, they're all like going. And he's like, yeah, and he started. They didn't see him. They thought it was part of the thing. And he, like, you know, as a professional musician he is, he just goes through it and like sings the whole thing and does the whole thing, and then like.
How did he know the lyrics to that song?
Oh, he knows. Yeah.
Jeez, that's impressive.
So it was just like a fun moment, like for the Waterbury boys. So they were great. They were going nuts, huh? They used to come to all the events whenever we did anything in New York. They're amazing, and in Uman as well. A lot of them came there to Uman as well. They're always cool guys. And I don't know what's going to be of Uman this year, but Nissim and Uman. I did a viewage of Nissim in Oman. If you guys, I could put it on, like it's pretty powerful. It's my video. Oh, just gonna put it on everything, man. So it's my video on here, and get out of here, motherland. That's the problem when I leave it on. Motherland bounce. Yeah. So this is my video I made at Nissim. I was just standing as part of the whole thing. First time he ever played this song, and everyone was like, what is this? Uman Rosh Hashanah, like, it's the holiest night of the year, like just before Rosh Hashanah. It's called Zecher Bris in Breslov. They pray all night, and Nissim gets up and does like a proper hip-hop, like, you know, black, you know, like motherland bounce, man, like, and the whole crowd, and it's like, what is going on? In Uman Rosh Hashanah, like, it was crazy. Listen to this, huh? This is like a real like hip hop. You can feel it, yeah? So for me, like, people were like, you know, how can you be involved? Like, this is not Uman Rosh Hashanah. But for me, it's like, this is Judaism. For me, is not about limiting it. Like, I believe the path of Judaism is very big. If you guys have talents and skills and have what to bring into your game, like, bring it into Judaism. Like, don't feel you have to go off Judaism to be able to express yourself and use your talents. Like, it's there's not like two worlds. There's only one world. There's only Hashem. It's one world. That's what I sang just before. Yeah, it's all one thing. So when you tune into that oneness, so then everything, all your talents, everything has ability to be elevated. So for me, even though this is like a controversial moment that he sang such a song in Uman, but like it was, for me at the same time, it was like a very like powerful moment. Like, wow, like hip hop can be also like kosher, can also be elevated, and you know, and everyone was like, you know, thousands of people in this place. It was thousands in this place. Were like singing for Hashem, but like in a rude boy style. It was like interesting, you know. So that's the thing. So that was a good question about Ohrsome, and you asked about Waterbury Boys. But what's next? Anyone else got anything?
Well, not Jewish, but you like work with a lot of like non-Jewish.
So I never really jumped into the mainstream world so much. Nissim is starting to, like he's been encouraged.
Like the other side of your family, like
Oh, my family, they're all in that world, yeah. No, but nobody in my family yet is.
Like who specifically do they work with? That's like quite in the mainstream.
I mean, everybody. Yeah. Wiley? No. So Wiley, I'm actually speaking to a guy in England called Chucky next week. Chucky's like Boys of Wiley, and they want to have a chat with someone who's Jewish and in Jerusalem. So I send them some people to talk to, and Chucky's like, no, I want to talk to you, man. I'm like, I don't want to, I'm not usually the that's why I don't usually perform, I don't usually speak. People pay me to bring people to speak. I'm not usually the speaker dude. I'm like behind the scenes. But, you know, here and there, Shem's pushing me forward here and there. So Chucky goes, no, I want you to come and speak. So I'm like, all right, fine. So I'm going to speak to this Chucky dude next week about Wiley. But,
That's crazy.
But yeah, that's a crazy story. But the point to come back with saying, so generally I stay out of the mainstream story. I am a little bit starting to call out some people out there a little bit, just because I feel like the world's losing its mind, and if you don't call out a little bit, like you're sort of not being responsible, you know. Like I am a bit of a fan of Ben Shapiro, if you know who he is. Even though he just made a really funny tweet, like it went nuts the last few days. But then, I'm also a big fan of some of the podcasts out there. I don't know if you know a guy, Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Joe Rogan.
I don't know Joe Rogan, but he's someone I'm starting to listen to more and more, especially now he had Ben Shapiro on. And I was just like, yeah, having that real talk with someone, like he says himself, like people feel like when they're listening to me, they're having a chat, and that's something which, growing up with boys and having people to chat to, living in Israel and the intensity of lifestyle here, and everyone's very into davening and learning, or they're working or they're hustling or whatever they're doing over here. So then people are like, you don't get much time to actually chill and talk, So like, you guys are doing me a little bit of a favor just so I can just talk. But like the mainstream world is there, and I am still connected. Like I said, my family are still in that business, and when I go back, I usually meet with people and stuff. And I've spoken to mainstream management about getting some advice, and Nissim's definitely trying to go mainstream. He has now a manager his official manager now is a person who's worked with Natalie Portman, and and as a manager for her, as agency for her modeling and stuff, and other such names, and Snoop Dogg and stuff like that. So that's the kind of person now Nissim's like connected with in America. So he's a younger guy, up and coming guy. So he's a music lawyer. So we're gonna slowly check out the mainstream scene with the new crowd, the new up and coming management world. But I feel it's very important for me. Like when I was a rabbi in yeshiva, I didn't just like feel like I'm here to teach you dudes. A lot of you dudes have what to teach me. Like when I ran my events in Jerusalem, when I was running different programs in Jerusalem, I would let the guys run the programs because they did it much better than me. Because they're cool with everyone. They're young. They're fresh. They've got much more energy. They don't have to go home to a wife like I did, so they could be up all night and just like hustle. And I did some sellout events, and the main key was because the young people in the game were the sellers. They were promoting the events and making it happen. So that's a very big secret to how I was successful when I was doing events. But the point is that you have to like really work with, like I said, my network, and my network is still mainstream somewhat. But at the same time, on a Jewish level, like if you look at my artists, they're all Jewish artists. Nissim's the only one who's venturing outwards. Would the other artists like to go outwards? I'm sure they would, but it's a hard world. Like there's big talent. Like if you see online now, the amount of talent shows, like Americans Got Talent and all the other places Got Talent and X Factor and Four and this one and that one. There's so much high-level talent. Like to think that some Jew boy who's trying to learn Torah and daven and also be responsible and be a mensch is trying to keep up with the level of talent out in the world. It's a struggle, and there are a few people who are doing it. One of the things people ask me a lot, someone just did this Friday night, one of my guests, do you have like good Jewish music? Because I'm not finding much. That was his question. So bit by bit I'm sending him stuff, more like less known Jewish acts, who are very talented and in my opinion are just as good as say Radiohead or any of the major artists. Like they're just as talented. But yeah, to answer your question, what's your name, bro?
I'm Jay.
Jay. So to answer your question, I think mainstream is needed. One of the things that has been a little bit like upsetting. I said this to South African people recently. I said like, where's your music? Where's your like online presence? I don't see you dudes like doing enough stuff online. Like there's this one guy reached out to me from Joburg, and I'm like, never heard of your network. I've never heard of your branding. Like, why not? Where are you? Why are you so quiet? Why are you so local? So my wife said to me, she was African. She said, South Africans like to just work in their own community, yeah? But we're in a global community right now, and there are some musicians. Like one musician really stood out for me for South Africa, a guy called Reuven Garber, who has an act called Derek. What's the Derek Hachim? Really nice songs, and he was about to just do more and more, and I was starting to help him and work with him. So he's someone who I really hold of as a musician, Reuven Garber. But that's like literally it. I don't really hear much. I mean, your chief rabbi is a famous rabbi. He's done a lot of good stuff. And I have spoken to him a few times online. But there definitely needs to be more, in my opinion. Like you guys need to get more mainstream, not more global. I don't know, because you've got like, for example, Derek Hachim. They had that like African beat because they live in Africa. There's an African beat in their culture, with the local Africans, and like Why ignore that energy? It's a powerful energy. Bring it into your music. Do something with it. You know, there is the label that Nissim did that song Motherland Bounce. They have a studio in Joburg, so that's probably influenced that song to have more of an African beat. So like you guys need to
Get on the social
yeah, no, not just social media, just but use your, you know, don't feel limited to just being communal in Africa, like Miss Africa. That you're, you know, only with your, what do you call them, brothers? How do you say in Africa? Breadwin's already English. Or,
I don't know,
or
boys,
black.
gents, lads.
No, there's a bruise, yeah. Oats, yeah, all these words. I don't
Lads, gents.
The bras.
More like gents, lads.
know. Yeah.
There's also
Bolton, what's that, mate?
No, it's mainly like bruise, yeah.
Bras, gents, lads.
Yeah, boots, yes. So you guys need to, like, you know, get that out beyond that, yeah, because, you know, like, you've got talent, you've got soul, you've got, and don't just think that you're just limited to Africa. Like, you're sitting in Jerusalem right now, this is a central place in the world, and you're probably meeting all kinds of people, like, network, meet people, be friendly, you know, because it's helpful, and then you can be more, like our friend here, Jay asked, then you can have ability to be a bit more mainstream. Do I want to go more mainstream? Look, I'm open-minded. Like I'm trying to keep myself very universal. Like it's hard because I'm like doing a class about United Souls, and the next minute I'm posting up a class about kashrut, and this non-Jew's like, wait a minute, but then that means you can't eat any of my food or drink anything, or like, you know, like, and how's that like universal? How's that connecting? And then I have to get into all those questions, you know, like, you know, well, we are universal and we are about unity, but the Jewish people have a specific mission, and it's not, God forbid, racist or exclusive. It's just, it's a very specific mission. Like for us to become the best we can be, we have to be completely proud of what we are, and be understand that we have a specific mission, and that's how we can be universal to everybody else. That we're doing the best thing as our role, as our thing. So that's the most important thing. That Nissim, even if he does go mainstream, that he keeps his Jewishness. Like Mathiol went mainstream, and you know, we can pray for that dude, you know. And you know, I actually walked him through the shop one time many years ago, right nearby here, and I asked him for his name. That was the last thing we spoke about. And I said, bro, I'm going to pray for you, and I've been praying for him since then, because he needs the feelers, you know. He's out there, and at that time he thought he could deal with it, and obviously as time went on, you know, it's a hard scene to be in as a Jew.
You ever see his stuff beforehand, like before you met him?
What do you mean?
Like his old stuff, his like D-Black.
With Debu stuff?
Like Nissan's old stuff.
Oh, D Black, yeah. The D Black is how I met him. That's how I met him, as D Black. I didn't know him as Nissan. I met him. Nissan Baruch was later on when he converted. I met him 2011 as D Black on MTV. Cool dude. Yeah, like he was cool, man. He was an up and coming act. D Black Damien. I have his passport on my phone. His old passport name.
Ellie, with Nissim, how do you go about it in a way where you can become more mainstream, but at the same time, you touched on it now, how do you go in a way where you become more mainstream, but at the same time, you still align with the Jewish values?
Yeah, so it hasn't really been done.
Yeah, because I mean,
it hasn't really been done. So
Nissim, going to be interested in
so
the Jewish music.
see, this is what Rav Orish, and this is what I'm going to be busy with after this, is we've had all kinds of guests in his class, and it's amazing how he speaks to them. Like we've had a Mexican convert, an LA convert, we've had Nissim from Seattle convert, we've had. Are you laughing at what I'm saying, or laughing at something else going on? No, I mean maybe it's funny. I don't know. And then I want to be funny. I mean, you know, it's a cool thing. I think humor is really important, you know. But anyway, like. So we've had Rabbi Rav Shlomo Katz, if you've heard of him, musician. We've had all these people. I've organized these classes with Rav Orish. The point is that Rav Orish is a connection point for a lot of these people to maintain, to ground themselves in spirituality and stuff. But like he, you know, like Nissim in specifics was given that permission by his Rav, that's his Dastor, his Rabbonim is guiding him to go mainstream. And they're saying, because remember, Rav Orish is into Amunah. Amunah is universal principle that everyone in the world can have Amunah in Hashem. It doesn't have to be a Jew. It has to be everybody has to believe in one God. So he's helping everyone connect into Amunah. So music and mainstream shouldn't be a contradiction to that. But what's his, like, what's his commitment that he tells Nissim he has to do? One, he always has to be, you know, keep in touch with his wife, make sure everything's according to Shalom Bias, so that his wife's a holy person, so she doesn't want him playing around, wasting his time. Yeah, he's never been a chiller, Nissim. That's one of the things. We never like chilled so much. Whenever we were together, we were tachlis, like work, kiruv, working, helping people, doing stuff. Never was like, oh yeah, like we're on the road, let's just, let's go get, some, you know what I mean, or like, it was never that kind of, it was more like, let's go find a mikveh and let's go like while we're not doing anything, let's just do some espodah, let's talk to God and like just connect and clean and phone our wives and be like loyal, responsible people and like connect with the people we're with and give them some encouragement. Like, it was always much more an elevated experience than what we were doing. And we're going to come to the question, yeah? So just to end off, like the most important thing Nissan does is espodah. Like he talks to God every day, an hour a day. And he's completely like committed to that. And I've seen him on the road. But I remember Purim that week when we flew back. It was Purim, and that week we flew 3 times, third way back in the Atlantic, and his wife had just had a baby, and we're flying back just in time for the bris. Like we hadn't been there the whole time. For like about 2 weeks he hadn't been in Israel. We even went to Israel and we didn't even see his wife, even though she just had a baby. We went to Renana, we did a gig, got back on the plane after just getting off the plane 3 hours before. So it was like crazy kind of schedule, and like miss him the whole time on the way back after such a week when I was like, just completely, I don't know what the word is, like bombing out. I don't know, there's a word for it, like you're like half there, like, with whatever's on the crappy screen in front of me and trying to learn a bit of Daf Yomi. He's sitting there doing 6 hours spoilers, yeah? And I'm just like, whoa. So that was Purim. So he's serious about his connection to Hashem, and that's going to be his key throughout his career, and that's going to be, plus he's got good boys around him. Like I consider myself a good boy of his, and there's a bunch of other of us, and we like, we'll call him out, we'll talk, we'll discuss. Me and him have late night chats about stuff, about family and like Yiddishkeit and stuff. So, we keep each other grounded, like we've always been that kind of relationship, so it helps. But
It's amazing that you have those type of people within the line of work that you're doing as well. It's not like those people that you see every day and work with are also the same people that are there holding you down. And
yeah, we're all trying to keep each other in a spiritual place. Like even Alex, when I speak to Alex Clare, he's like a learned guy. Like
he came to speak to us.
He's not messing around. Like he's learning, and like he's becoming a rabbi over dash down the road here. He has a kollel that he runs, and he's as musical and talented as he is. He's focused on Yiddishkeit, and that's something which in this generation you'd be inspired to know how many Gerim and how many Baalei Tshuva and how many people are now like coming closer to Hashem and hopefully bringing the music industry closer to Hashem, like Yishai Ribo, or in Eretz Yisrael and Aviatar Bona. There's a long list of Israeli musicians, Yom Tov Mazel, who are very highly talented and just as good as non-Jewish musicians or mainstream musicians, and they're able to be totally focused on Hashem, and they're amazing people, and I have full respect for them. So what's your question, brother?
I was going to ask if you miss him or ever thought of getting into contact with Jewish artists out there,
like Drake or whatever.
Drake.
Yeah. So Drake, all these people are really hard to get hold of. Like when I speak to my father about how the business works, in honesty, in order to, unless you're like blessed to happen to have, like my dad had like a famous musician's email, it just happened to be that way, but generally it doesn't always work. The person you ask has such close contact. You usually have to go through an agent or their booking agent or their management or some sort of marketing team to get through to person. And when you're trying to get through them, they're not interested in Jewish connection. They're interested in business. So if you can come up with a business reason, but if you're just coming up because you want to try help him spiritually or whatever, it's probably going to be blocked by most of the people around him, and it would probably need like a miracle. And remember, a person once said to me, and I think he's right, he's a holy rabbi here and once was learning in Israel, he's not here anymore, but he once said to me that it's a merit for them to know you. People get it the wrong way around. Like when Zusha started getting more big, and Zusha, so they're friends of mine, and they were like starting to connect with Matsiol. I was like, don't think it's a merit for you to connect to Matsiol, because he's bigger in the industry and he's been around and he's talented. He is all those things, but he's lucky to know you guys, because I know you guys. You guys are holy. Shlomo is a holy dude. Like he's just focusing on God. So you're actually, he's lucky to know you, because you're much more focused in on the truth and values and not getting lost amongst who knows what. And like he's lucky to know you guys. So don't always, it becomes a little bit topsy-turvy how you view the world. So it's not like, oh, he's the most connected dude. No, he's the most valued and most principled and focused on truth, and not just like losing himself in all the BS that goes on in the business. I left that business for a reason, because it's BS. most of it, yeah. And I didn't feel happy from it, you know. So I now work with it, but only in a way that's like is truthful and honest and straight and gives me a peace of mind. And now with Corona, the business is on its head, like literally. So whatever was, all these massive events and all these massive festivals, and you know, there was a bunch of artists trying to get me to go into the festivals. So I started speaking to Live Nation and other big organizations, big production companies. I started like the last, say, year, I started to start emailing these people, and I have all their contacts from my family, and I was like starting to look into the mainstream festival scene and everything, and I was literally just starting that, and then this Corona thing kicked in, and was like, I think Hashem's trying to tell me something, don't you? You know, like maybe I'm not meant to go into the festival scene right now. You know, maybe not. Maybe all these nice Jewish boys that I work with would be better for them not to be there. You know, in Glastonbury, you know, is doing what, you know, or like Burning Man, or who knows what, you know. Tomorrow World, even worse, you know, whatever, or Tomorrowland, whatever it is, whatever's worse, yeah. You know, maybe it's better that these DJs and these people I know don't end up in such scenarios, and maybe the Corona thing's actually changing a little bit the flow, that we can still be in our own Dalai Lamas, we can sit in Jerusalem and still influence the world through music, through Zoom events, through who knows what is going to be next in technology, virtual events, who knows how we're going to do it. You know, there's a lot of now development now online of alternative ways of making events and getting things set up. You know, like I'm in a Zoom chat every few days with a bunch of people in the technological world, you know, in the industry, and I discuss this stuff with those guys, and you see that there's so much potential with, like, you know, automated, like, you know, stuff with like backgrounds, amazing like visual stuff. I'd like to get, you know, my family have a merchandise company. I'd like to get them linked up with like some amazing app. Like every time you do a Zoom event, you can somehow have the event app and get merchandise while you're watching the event. There's so much potential with this Corona thing to switch it up and make it a more online experience, and then you don't have to leave your holy environment, you know. You can stay there and just do your thing. I've got a studio. I'm going to be there in another hour. Beautiful, amazing studio with amazing green screen. We've got live Zoom, live Facebook, live YouTube. We've got everything going on there. What do we need to travel? It's just it's 5 minutes from my house. It's just up the road. Like you're gonna drop me back. I'm just walk up the road with my PC, press live on the YouTube, and everything goes live, and it's amazing. You know, edited and yeah, everything's green. The whole room's green, and it's brand new. It's all nicely done, and the equipment's all brand new. Great camera work, and great studio. It's all done through PCs now. Everything's, you know, through the computers, and it's amazing. You can make effects. You can like do any kind of background you want. Have any kind of writing come. You can even have links fly up. You can do all kind of stuff. So this is like the next level with the music industry. How to work with that. You know, that's what we're doing.
I've got a bit of a less music question.
Yeah, please.
When you lived in London,
Yeah.
which soccer team did you support?
Spurs.
Did you go to a few games?
All the time. You'd army. So I used to, no, I used to go. I mean, it was on a Saturday, but I didn't know about Shabbos and Shabbat. So I used to go and sit, you know, like in the VIP boxes because my family are hookups. But at the same time, I also used to go and specifically go with the real, like, I don't want to say this word, but it's a, no, I shouldn't say. We call what we call non-Jewish guys, like more like
Yokes.
yeah, you know. We used to call them Gentiles. That's a better word. Gentiles, pleasant people. So we used to go and like be with those guys, and we'd get like a bunch of pints in before the game with the boys in the bar, and then we'd go into the standing part, and they'd throw chairs, and it was like proper fun. And that was the best. They were the best games, not the sitting in the VIP box with the manager who owns, you know, some Jew boy who owns the club or whatever. It was much more fun being with the locals, you know, scum, and like, you know, calling out everyone, calling out the other team bunch of scum, and like, you know, like, especially when we played Arsenal and beat them, it was like, so that was a highlight for me, those kind of games. And I was actually at the last ever standing, in Park Lane, White Hart Lane, the last standing game ever. Where after that it was only seating. So I was at that last standing one ever in the history of Tottenham.
I've so a question about your Judaism. Where did it turn for you when you came to Israel? You said every time you were here you felt like a flow, but like when did you make that conscious decision where like I'm living this life in London, the clubbing, the girls, whatever you had going on, to come sit in yeshiva in Israel?
So I'd gone off girls and that was an important development, honestly, in university, just around university time. And it wasn't because I was gay or anything like that. It was, I'd gone off, I'd probably done enough up until 16, 17, and I was just I just felt I had a very intense relationship. Funny enough, I watched the movie the other day, and that girl was in the movie, and I was sitting there, and I said to my wife, I said, she's quite pretty, isn't she? And my wife's like, look at me, because my wife knew her, hated her, and then I let the name slip, and I was in such trouble. And she's like, she hates that name, she hates that girl, even all those years, like 23 years. But anyway, but it's funny. So that girl, like, in a way, at that time, broke my heart. And because it was I don't want to get into the story, but it's a good story for another time, for another boys' night. But and that sort of made me realize that there's something more going on with this guys and girls thing. This isn't just fun and games. Like, there's actual feeling here, a deep pain if it doesn't work out that I can't explain, like the deepest kind of pain. And I'm like, why would I want to just go around like and just getting with these girls and falling? So I got into this whole mindset, I'm not being with you unless we're going to get married. That's my mindset. Completely secular dude. And people were like, girls were like, I was like, I used to do modeling a little bit. I was like a top catch. I'm not saying I don't look like it now, but back then, yeah, back then. So and my, the girls were like literally, and I was like, no, get out of my room. Like, if you want to, I want to get married. I know I'm in university and the guys do what they do, but I didn't do nothing. Like, it was a miracle. And once I stepped away from women in that way, and I didn't, masturbate, spill seas, I'm being straight with you guys. Once I control myself in that way, my whole life flipped. Like, I stopped watching TV for a few years around that time, also probably connected, and there was no real internet like YouTube or whatever, didn't have that. There was a bit like stuff coming in on PCs, but it was crap. So I wasn't like watching any of that stuff, and I was like cleaning myself out from that whole lifestyle as a gradual process. Nothing to do with rabbis, no one brainwashing me. It was just like a process of like purification. And my ears got all infected, and the ears, I had a bunch of them, they all just popped out literally before that. I had none already, and I had this crazy experience. All these kind of things, one thing after another. It was like God was taking me over and just purifying my system so that I could be a vessel. So once I came to Israel, and I wasn't spilling seed, and I wasn't with women, and I was like open spirituality, writing poetry and music. Now I met Torah, and I started to see how all the things I'm thinking about and looking at actually fit into a system. This system is actually, I'm already ready for this. Like, this is what I want, and now I don't have to just base it on my own ideas and like sort of get it right, not get it right. Now I can know it's 100%. This is from God. That this is like Messiah. This is like a tradition. This is all the way back to Harsina. This is revelation. This is not just me just having this personal experience. This is a global mission for everybody. So then I was like, whoa. So that really like blew my mind, that whole process. And not only that, my wife was there after a year or so of being in yeshiva, so I knew like I didn't have to go running around, in that story. And
Was your wife religious through and through, boot?
it says in Rabbi Nachman, the more you connect to Hashem, the more your soulmate will connect to Hashem. So the more I felt like I was going on that journey, it was almost like identical. Everything I was doing, she was doing. She went to seminary, and I wasn't influencing her. It was just like a gradual thing. So we were like on the same road even before we got married. And that's the truth. You should know. All of you guys, however much you protect yourself and work on yourself and grow, that's how much your girl right now, whoever she is growing. So if you guys decide, you know what, F it, I'm going to Tel Aviv and I'm getting laid tonight, I don't care. And that's probably what your soulmate to be doing that night also. So you're just getting damaged goods. I'm not joking. I married my girl, like, she was pure and she'd never done anything, even though she used to hang around a club called Strawberry Moon and who knows what. She never did nothing, yeah? She did nothing. And because Hashem protected her. Not that I was such a holy saint, but obviously I'm a Kohen, so I needed to marry someone who hadn't been with a non-Jewish person. And that's why Kohanim can't just marry Baal Tshuva, with their background being whatever. So thankfully my wife was pure, and so Hashem, like, was very obvious to me. A lot of things are very obvious. So when God's talking to you so clearly, it's not like this is my.
It's hard to ignore it.
Yeah, it's like so obvious. There was so much going on, and my family opposed it big time. It was hard because they were like, "We're giving you the best life. Why would you reject this?
Is your family gone up more religious, or they still
No,
like the
no,
same as when you
no,
were
they're
younger?
not religious. No.
Is it just you, also like your siblings or whatever?
My family, like my brother's a little bit more traditional because he married a more traditional woman, but that's his second marriage. But like they're not religious, and but I've worked out ways like how to I've balanced out a lot because I was very intense religious at a certain time period. Like I was very close with a lot of holy people, and I was learning and davening, and wasn't online, and it was a very special time in my life for about 10 years, let's say. And I was still hanging out with boys and doing stuff, but I was like
Connecting as it goes on.
Did you feel like you're being influenced in a way that you didn't mind at the time, but now in retrospect, looking back at it, it wasn't really like who you were, or was it dead on who you were? And that
I think that's always going to be a balance. Like you have to constantly go through different time periods you have to allow yourself a little bit to open your mind up to people who are influential and to learn from them, but you have to always keep that balance of not losing yourself. So it's like you need to have mentors, you need to have rabbis, you need to have people in your life who can guide you and spiritualize you a little bit, but at the same time you need to balance it out with always being more in touch with yourself, knowing what your thing is, knowing what you need to keep happy. Like you need to do fun things. You need to you need to keep up sports, and the good mentors in my life, they encourage me to carry on being myself. The less healthy mentors, bit by bit, I made my own decisions to distance from them. OHRsom didn't want me to play music, funny enough. And I was like, I don't care what you say. I used to make kumzits every week there. Till I got the rabbi who told me not to play music to also come play music there. So it was good for him also. I was like, no, I'm not the kind of guy you can push around so easily. So even though I have full respect for Rabbonim, at the same time I think I influenced them also in a good way. And because I felt like they were too boxed up. They needed some opening up also. Yeah. Yeah, they were telling me. I don't know the song. No, I'm like a bit old school now with music. That's
don't
why.
worry, no one actually knows it on the guitar. We just
Okay.
talking about it.
I don't know.
Really?
Like right now
Bring him over for
we'll play a song. We'll play a song like that's going to help us get ready for Elul. It's a bit of an older song, but like maybe you guys know it. Like it's the pasuk from Elul, from the David Hashem Uri. This Shabbos is Shas Mevarach from Elul. Pashas Re'eh. We want the bracha, not the klala. We want the good things. So we should sing together. I don't know. Do you know this song? Acha Sha'alti? Acha Sha'alti. Sha'alti V'yais Hashem. Acha Sha'alti V'yais Hashem. Aso V'akesh. Shifti V'yais Hashem. Kovo Yemei Chayoy. Lachzos V'noy Am Hashem. V'levachim V'heikalot. Shifti V'yais Hashem. Oh, Yemei Chayoy. Lachzos V'noy Am Hashem. V'achim V'heikalot. Shifti V'yais Hashem. Oh, Yemei Chayoy. Lachzos V'noy Am Hashem. V'levachim V'heikalot. In that song it says, Achas was the only thing I asked for, just to be in the house of Hashem. So all the righteous people write, what does it mean to be in the house of Hashem? So the answer is, no matter what I do in life, should be in the house of Hashem. Even if I'm doing business, even though I'm chilling outside in the Mepesa in Jerusalem playing music, I'm always in the house of Hashem. That's the one thing I request from God. I should always be close to you and bring that feeling of the house of Hashem wherever I do. So that's the kind of spiritualization that we should bring into the music business, should bring into everything. I pray for this. It's a big thing. Anyway, another song.
Maybe a
a
nigga, yeah.
We only know the secular Jewish song.
David Melech Yisrael, David Melech Yisrael, David Melech Yisrael, Chai Bekayom. David Melech Yisrael, David Melech Yisrael, David Melech Yisrael, Chai Bekayom. Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Hey Lanu L'chol Yisrael, Amen. Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Hey Lanu L'chol Yisrael, Amen. Tov Melech Yisrael, na 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 Okay, so what would be the connection of that is that Johnny and I met through Simchas, OHRsom. And please go by you guys. How old are you generally?
18 or 9.
Oh, so you're young, you got years, you know. But like I said, this is the prep time now. It's a good thought to have. What you do now affects what you're going to be. It's a whole different way, different paradigm now. Now you know that truth.
Give us a favorite.
Favorite? I love it as that came, I'll be honest.
Maybe we can sing without the guitar. I'm like not really such a guitarist, really, honestly. John, sing.